Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our show, BusinessFlix. Like every Friday, आज हमने time थोड़ा सा change किया है, थोड़ा सा flexibility based on the feedback that we have received in the past. तो आज का topic, again another topic which relates to in general a lot of people and a lot of us, rather all of us who are using email and मतलब since I would say Hotmail and Gmail and so on and so forth. तो क्लाउड के ऊपर हम आज मेनली बात करेंगे एंड जस्ट टू वेरी क्विकली share the perspective of the session today is cloud computing. What is cloud computing? It's like using software, hardware to deliver some specific service over a network. और network को mainly होता है internet की medium, but network when we say it's medium to connect. So internet के ऊपर over internet होता है. So this is, I mean, in short, the cloud computing, and as I said, Google, Gmail, Hotmail, and so on and so forth. ये examples हैं जो कि हम काफी अर्से से use कर रहे हैं. And this is the simplest term in the form I could explain and I could tell in general. Cloud computing के हवाले से हम आज बात करेंगे. फिर cloud computing industry in Pakistan is under development. कहाँ पे है, किस हवाले से है, and then पाकिस्तान से बाहर क्या practices हो रही हैं और वहाँ पे क्या बेहतर practices हैं, उसके ऊपर भी we would touch base and rather discuss in detail. And last but not least, कुछ information जिस तरह हमें मिलती रहती है, and we have this perception कि Google, Microsoft, these are cloud companies, they are making money. So if it is a money-making business, then why isn't it under focus in Pakistan? So this is another touch point that we would go and touch base upon and discuss. और इसके लिए मतलब I couldn't have more relevant people. So starting to introduce very quickly, Adnan Saab, Head of ICT and Chief Information Security Officer at Ornua in Thailand. Adnan is there. Ornua, I'll just quickly brief about Ornua. It's a dairy cooperative product, and it's a company which is based in Dublin, and its annual sales is over 2 billion euros, and it has footprints and exports up to 110 countries. So Adnan is looking at a big budget and big environment and managing it on all cloud and making it secure and keeping it secure. So I expect a lot of input and all the valuable input from Adnan Saab. Thank you and welcome Adnan Saab. Then we have Furrukh Sohail Saab. Furrukh Saab is VP NorthBay Solutions. 20 plus years of IT consulting management experience with demonstrated transformations and hands-on delivery. So I cannot actually say enough about Furrukh Saab and his experience. So thank you and welcome both of you once again. सर आज का जिस तरह हमारा डिस्कशन था और जिस तरह से टॉपिक पे मैंने टच बेस किया, तो I'll come to Adnan साहब immediately क्योंकि डिस्कशन का टॉपिक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है और लोग बड़ा सुनना चाह रहे थे. Adnan साहब, over to you. What do you see as a cloud computing, उसके uses, hardware overall in general, किस तरह से how would you take us?
First of all, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for having me on the show. It's my pleasure to join CxO. From the cloud computing perspective, I would say it starts with connectivity with internet, and then you start managing and migrating all the applications to cloud. It's also very important to start understand from the basic perspective that cloud, you have to make sure that the data is kept in somewhere. It could be public cloud or private cloud, but it has to be hosted outside your on-premise. And when the data is hosted in the cloud, there are different benefits which you can't get it on when you're working on on-prem environment. So that's the main thing I would like to convey to people, especially in Pakistan, from the technological side, that we are very advanced here in Europe, and we call it cloud first strategy. So cloud first is not like cloud always strategy. There's a big difference. So whenever we evaluate any application or product, we always make sure that can we host this in the cloud to get the benefit of agility, scalability, and anything that will come up with cloud. And so that is very, very important when we are looking into cloud technology, because if you're looking for just hosting a solution on-prem or in cloud, you won't get the same benefit unless you're looking for a cloud strategy, to looking for how you manage those applications, where you are going to manage those applications. Do you have requirement to manage working with other cloud-based applications, could be hosted with other providers, whether it's Microsoft, Google, or Amazon, it doesn't really matter. So it's the full strategy that you need to look for rather than just looking for hosting one application. So the actual benefit you will get when you are looking for application on its entirety. So my take would be from cloud perspective to make sure that when you're looking for a cloud application, you come up with a strategy how you want to start hosting those applications. Where are you going to make cost savings? What is the purpose of cloud? Is it to make cost savings? It's not always the case that you will make cost savings when you go into the cloud as well.
Absolutely.
So you have to have your perspective, your business case around it. Why exactly you're looking for? Are you looking to reach out to people across the group, which are scattered across the world? Then it makes sense that you have a hosted solution somewhere in the cloud. Are you trying to reach out to masses that you can't do it when you're hosting your solution on-prem? So there are a number of reasons why you look for cloud application.
I see. Thank you. Rightly added perspective, and we'll take this further. Farooq bhai, I'll come to you and similar question. बस थोड़ा सा ऐड ये करूँगा कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर भी हमारा एक जर्नी चल रहा है, राइज ऑफ आईटी एंड एवोल्यूशन उसका चल ही रहा है. तो उसमें बैक इन लाइक 2-3 years बैक हम टारगेट करते हैं 2020 तक देयर इज अ सर्टेन $5 billion की एक हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन थी कि हम वहां तक चले जाएंगे. तो वे उस पर्सपेक्टिव से भी थोड़ा सा इफ यू कैन टेक दिस फर्दर द ओवरऑल डिस्कशन प्लीज.
Um, I think we are going to talk about cloud adoption by organizations in Pakistan, right? Mainly. और हमारे मेन जो hurdles हैं, what are those right now? So from that perspective, what I'll tell you is there are lots of people who are already familiar with cloud computing in a way or not, especially the people who came from startup culture in Pakistan. uh, they're very, very familiar with cloud computing. I mean, as I talked about it years back, and a lot of mobile application development was happening in Pakistan. The only way for them, because obviously limited budgets, they were sort of stuff, but there was to go towards cloud solutions. For example, Google App is extensively used by all of those startups, and they're extremely very familiar. So I would say that Pakistan's cloud journey started with those guys, especially use of cloud because of the limitations they had. You're developing an application for mobile market. You do not know is it really going to launch or not launch. एक सवाल ये था, दूसरा ये था कि how much do you invest, which I call total cost of ownership in an infrastructure on-prem. So see a situation where you're trying to experiment with an application, but you do not know what will be the user load, right? This application of yours kicks off overnight and becomes popular, and you have now 20 million users playing on your mobile application. How do you scale from day zero to day one when you have now 20 million user applications? So they started that journey, and those are the startups that are very familiar with and within Pakistan. We had very big, large organizations and companies who were very innovative, and they were very large and delivering a lot in mobile application development arena. And there were lots of popular applications that were brought into uh, क्या कहते हैं, they were created in Pakistan, out of Pakistan, by our company who became very popular. So that was the stage one of cloud adoption in Pakistan. So that's just like 8-9 years from now. Right? If
Yeah.
you remember the hype of mobile application development back in Pakistan, every other company was doing it. Every other company was developing the game. But see a situation where if they had to bring in servers, create their data centers, create disaster recovery centers, right? Uh, Create the data pipes, etc. All of that in one night. Would they ever be able to do that? Right. I'll give you another example. So we have been very familiar with this game called Angry Birds. Right? That was
Yeah.
their 120th try of mobile games, and one of them became successful, right? Overnight, and all of the workload that created overnight
Yeah.
All of the workload that changed overnight in an on-prem situation, in an on-prem hardware acquisition process, that could have failed because either you lose your customer base because you're not able to scale, और the other was way to go was to pick up cloud. एक तो ये सबसे पहला जो
जूम
ड्राइविंग
की भी
फैक्टर
कल आप
था
एक
हमारे।
हमारी डिस्कशन में जूम की भी आप एग्जांपल दी थी कि
आई
आप
एम
उसमें भी
क्योंकि
करके
मुझे इतनी एडॉप्शन हमारे यहाँ काफी अरसे से चल रही है। पॉइंट ये है कि क्या वो पब्लिकली स्प्रेड करेगी कि नहीं करेगी। दैट्स द स्टेज वी आर एट राइट नाउ। और फिर ये है कि जूम ओवरनाइट एवरीबडी इज यूजिंग इट नाउ। स्कूल सारे के सारे
स्केलेबिलिटी।
इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। Offices that were out of everybody is working from home. Even this is everybody probably is connected from home right now, and the amount of load that increased over time. Think of a situation where you could acquire that hardware to add to your on-prem system, but all the transportation and the planes and the ships and all of that and manufacturing is closed. You cannot even get them from anywhere. They would have failed. All of these would, applications possibly would have failed if they were not on cloud. एक तो ये हम इन चीज़ों से बहुत ज़्यादा ऑलरेडी फेमिलियर। आई एम नॉट सेइंग इट्स एक्सट्रीमली न्यू टू पाकिस्तान। अब जो हमारी लोकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं उनका उनके लिए सबसे बड़ा ड्राइविंग फैक्टर क्या है टू गो टू द क्लाउड, और जर्नी क्या है टू अडॉप्ट द क्लाउड। आई थिंक ये दो बड़े फैक्टर्स हैं उसके अंदर। और फिर फैक्टर आ जाता है कि हाउ टू पिक अप योर क्लाउड पार्टनर, वो एक और अलग फैक्टर है उसके अंदर। तो जब आप सबसे ड्राइविंग फैक्टर्स की बात करते हैं हमारे लोकल अपने इंस्टीट्यूशंस की, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की जर्नी टू क्लाउड, तो देयर आर कपल दैट आर ऑलरेडी देयर। फॉर एग्जांपल आई थिंक क्लाउड एडॉप्शन की बात करें और उसकी स्केलेबिलिटी की बात करें तो Draz is a local recent example. The amount of uptick, अब retail stores बंद हैं, the amount of uptick over time of purchasing from a retail store in the online retail store, and that's a situation if Draz was not on the cloud, probably would not have worked out for them. And जब application हमारे जो बहुत सारे applications हैं उसमें कस्टमर को एक्वायर करना और उसको रिटेन करना एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर होता है। क्वालिटी एक्सपीरियंस रिग्रेस कर जाता है, दराज का, तो पीपल वुड हैव मूव टू समथिंग एल्स। ऐसी सिचुएशन में दैट्स अनदर एग्जांपल। एक और जो एग्जांपल है वो है कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर स्टार्टअप सीन जो है इट्स रियली पिकिंग अप बिग टाइम, and they are experimenting with lots of products. Product development में ये होता है कि 200 प्रोडक्ट बनाएंगे, उसमें से एक या दो really लॉन्च हुई मार्केट के अंदर, और कुछ नहीं हुई, कुछ कुछ कटिंग बोर्ड पे चली गई, कुछ खत्म हो गई। For them, being on the cloud probably is the right path to be, right? Because you're paying only for what your user is using and what you are using. So the one factor for those people is pay as you go. For other type of organizations, for example, I'm sure you have people from the CFOs present here in this session right now. Probably they will hear that later on. Is like Adnan said, cost saving is another factor. ठीक है, अब एक बार दफा ड्राइविंग फोर्स जो है will become most of the time will become cost saving. So you have a data center, half of which you are not utilizing at all, right? The
सर
size
यहाँ
is
पे
so large for a
यहाँ
possibility that is going to happen once in a while.
बिल्कुल ऐसे। और यहाँ पे जो अदनान साहब ने बात की, क्विकली एक सेकंड के लिए तजबीज इसी टॉपिक के ऊपर, अदनान साहब आपने क्लाउड फर्स्ट की बात की, क्लाउड फर्स्ट, और आपने थोड़ा सा उसको हाई लेवल पे डिफाइन भी किया। तो उसमें अगर इफ यू कैन आल्सो एग्जांपल थोड़ी सी, फॉर इंस्टेंस आईटी उसकी आइडेंटिटी मैनेजमेंट फॉर इंस्टेंस इज वन थिंग, तो उसके हिसाब से इफ यू कैन आल्सो शेयर योर पर्सपेक्टिव के व्हाट आर द प्रैक्टिसेस जो हमें चैलेंजेस बताए बिल्कुल प्रिसाइजली फरूख भाई ने, उसके ऊपर व्हाट वेयर डू यू सी एंड व्हाट डू यू सी एज इफ यू कैन कम अप विद अ सॉल्यूशन और से हमें थोड़ा आइडिया दे सके व्हाट आर द बेटर वेज और स्मार्ट वेज।
The best reason we look for cloud first strategy is to make sure that we can allow us to integrate with other applications and we get the agility in the cloud, which we can't get on-prem environment. So the scenario could be you would like to do a B2B integration with your partners, your suppliers. And if you're on the cloud, it's a lot easier. They're maybe already on SAP and you are on SAP as well. So the integration would make a lot easier. And also within the environment, within the company, if you have number of applications and they're all integrated with one identity, it could be Microsoft Azure identity or AWS identity or Google identity. I'm more familiar with Microsoft Azure identity, whereby all applications are connected. You can still get the benefit of on-prem, because one of the things people think that if you have an on-prem application, it's more secure. You're managing everything within a box. But that's the big confusion among business community. They think that if I have everything in the box, everything is secure. But that's not the case. If you keep everything in the cloud, it's even a lot more secure, because then the amount of investment a public cloud provider can do, you can't even think of it, because they are managing data for hundreds of thousands of customers. So they can't afford if there's a data breach, and they will go out of business. So the main benefit you get is agility. So let's suppose you have a requirement to build 5 servers. If you think about capex model, capital expenditure model, you have to buy those Dell or HP servers, then you have to stack them, do all those configurations. It could take 2 months. You may be out of business in 2 months' time.
Yeah.
Like Furrukh has given an example of the Raz. Think about it. If the Raz was not in the cloud already, they couldn't afford to go on cloud during COVID-19, because they have to build everything, go into the private cloud. That was just not possible. They were already in the cloud, and what they are doing, they are getting the scalability, so they can
Overhead.
extend the reach of the customers, which is not possible. I'm seeing here number of companies who are doing retail shops, even individual retail shops here in Ireland. Now they are looking for cloud business, because they know that people are afraid of going into shops and trying to buy things. What they are looking for, I feel more comfortable to go to Amazon and just buy stuff and it will be delivered to me. Why should I go to local shops to buy things? Um, we have a big retailer here in Ireland, in UK, called Tesco. Their business surged just because they're offering online delivery, but
Yeah.
other retailers are not offering it, so they are getting competitive edge. So if you're looking for competitive edge among your customers, your suppliers, people would like to do business with who have global presence already. Um, in at this stage of world, even COVID-19 has changed things a lot. Those companies who are not in the cloud, they are going to suffer badly. Even big players as well. It's around the agility and scalability. You can't get it. Plus, one of the things Farooq has also talked about is around workload. You can't predict the loads. For example, due to COVID-19, you're expecting that the workload on online sales is going to grow significantly. And if it is going to grow significantly, you don't know what time they're coming up. You may be launching a campaign on your website. So it's called burst of traffic.
Yeah.
Cloud is designed to cope with the burst of traffic. And you don't have to buy 20 servers to provide that support. What you do, you enable a scale out and scale up strategy within the cloud, whether it's Amazon or Google or Azure. Then if you think that on Friday evening you're launching a campaign, system will automatically scale out. So from 2 servers, you end up running 20 servers. You can't really get this on-prem environment
Yes.
or even a private
Not
cloud.
overnight.
If you
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
yes. So I would say the agility, but one thing I would like to clarify is cloud is not always seen as cost-cutting measure. If
Easy. I
you
was.
have to use it, it's very important. I'm telling you based on my experience that if you don't use it wisely, and you don't manage it, it has to be governed and managed. If you don't do that, next month you just get a bill which you were not expecting, and you may go out of business. So you have to be very careful. For example, cloud is offering you to 100 different types of virtual machines. You can spin one or 100 of virtual machines, but if you don't manage it properly, you don't have a proper governance, it's very difficult to manage it. So, for example, you normally look for, should you buy a reserve instance so that you pay for 3 years on monthly basis, but it gives you that cost cutting measure. So you have to be very careful when you're looking for cloud, how you optimize your cost. So
Yep.
it's not like I'm just deciding today I should be going onto the cloud. Those companies who are born in the cloud, I say mostly all startups, they don't need to buy a Dell or a HP servers on-prem, start managing all those things. They don't really need an IT admin resource to manage all of those things. You look for either Google or Office 365 from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Let them manage what they are good at. Let them manage where they are good at with respect to security. So think about it. If you need to start managing, for example, here in Europe, I'm saying most companies are not interested in hosting Exchange on their on-prem environment because those are old days. You're still managing it. I'm seeing government public sector is still doing it, some of those, not all of them, but private sector, it's just not never heard of that you are going to manage emails on-prem. Why should you? You go to Google or Microsoft or other providers available to manage your emails. There are additional features available within the email security that you can apply, which is very difficult to manage everything on-prem.
And again with precision, as you rightly mentioned कि ये experts हैं. फरूक भाई आपने भी एक बात की और मान ने भी initially ये बात की दो चीजों पे. एक तो एक ये कि requirements, we need to know the requirements. तो इस चीज के ऊपर थोड़ा touch base. Secondly ये कि cost cutting वाली बात ही quickly अगर ये बताएं कि यहाँ पे ये I would call it a misconception. People always when they think of cloud they come to think of अच्छा cloud पैसे बचेंगे या नहीं बचेंगे. तो
देखें इसमें उसमें
normally it's not a cost saving.
no, देखिए उसमें ऑप्टिमाइजेशन की बात आ जाती है सारी की सारी. But what Adnan really is saying, do not see that as a cost saving only path. You have to think about what type of environment I am in, what other benefits I'm going to get. Within that, ये पूरी की पूरी journey है from moving what you already have. I mean, एक तो वो बात होगी ना जो कि the companies that are born in cloud. So let's take them out of this discussion. So you have some SAP running right now on-prem as an example. You take that workload over to cloud. How do you size that? वो बहुत important है. How do you architect that? वो बहुत important है. That would be a main driving factor in optimizing the cost. Let's not even call that cost saving, because you could end up, if you do it wrong, what Dan is saying, you could end up spending a lot more. But if you take that journey with the right partner, with people who have knowledge about cloud architecture and how to design applications, and they can take you through the steps of, now I shift the workload. जब वो shift हो गया, then I take the next step of deciding मैं इसको improve कर लूँ, मैं इसकी जगह नई application लिख लूँ, मैं इसको किसी नए platform पे host कर लूँ. For example, if I am paying a lot of licensing fee every year, what are the other parts? If my application is not designed to use a certain managed services, क्योंकि अभी भी मुझे EC2 के ऊपर उसको चलाना पड़ रहा है, या दूसरा तरीका ये है कि some sort of wrap उसको एक कंटेनर के अंदर आप डॉकराइज करके आप उसको उसको मैनेज कर लें वहाँ पे, या उस तरह से उसको यूज करना पड़ रहा है, बट आई एम नॉट गेनिंग द मोस्ट बेनिफिट. तो आप ऑप्टिमाइजेशन की तरफ जाते हैं और वहाँ पे जाके आपको ज़्यादा बेनिफिट्स मिलना शुरू होते हैं. तो ये पूरी की पूरी क्लाउड की जर्नी है दैट यू हैव टू पार्टनर विद द राइट पीपल एंड मेक श्योर कि योर नंबर वन जो गोल्स हैं, जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन गोल्स हैं, दे आर बीइंग मैनेज्ड. नंबर टू, you have to also make sure that you are taking those steps to going towards optimized cloud solution. So this day usually are called 6 R's of cloud adoption. It starts from A step to B step, and there are many things in between, but we'll not go into that detail right now. We can have, like, if there are enough audience interested, we can have a separate discussion on altogether. But cloud adoption for lots of people will definitely mean need to make business sense as well. But they need to know कि day one के ऊपर शायद वो नहीं बनेगी, and if they do it wrong, वो शायद ज़्यादा expensive हो जाए, it becomes more expensive. But then you take very careful steps with the right partners and optimize those steps and stage towards further optimizing it, making more success to total cost of ownership पे reduce कर दें. A number of people that you manage services को, for example, उस तरफ चले जाएं, then you don't have to worry about whether the updates are coming in or not, or especially for certain type of updates, a special type of updates that you have to change the versions, etc., and change your code sometimes. but whether the updates are coming or not, whether the service is going to be available or not, storages के अंदर, if you are using a certain type of database and you want to change it to something else now, which is more managed service oriented, even for relational databases, and those are the possibilities and paths that you can carve in. But what are the steps one and two or three of cloud journey start? So I would say take smaller steps. The easiest step to take is if you have some sort of application that is sitting in your data center that you could lose access to because of any of the situations coming in the world, and you take the disaster recovery over to a cloud, right? And because clouds are mostly pay as you go, then a disaster recovery sitting over there probably is not going to cost you that much as compared to even creating an infrastructure that you're never going to use. That is where you could start actually. Or maybe you have storages, okay, they're lying over there, you need that for archival of 8-10 years now, and then you pick up a cheap storage on the cloud, and then move those archive documents over there. So there are stages and steps to take. So the first step, in fact, is to partner with somebody and develop your go-to cloud strategy, and see किस तरह के workloads हैं, किस तरह की applications हैं, separate them out, establish a go-to plan around that, and then start to take one out of them to the cloud. Another important thing is the team that you already have. They also need to learn a lot during this adoption. So the partner comes in, does the transformation for you, helps you with 4, 3, 4, 5, 6 months engagement, or 1, 2 months of engagement. It helps you move those applications over to the cloud. Who is going to manage it from your within team? You need to identify those people, help them enhance their knowledge so that they're comfortable. The biggest resistance is going to come in with people not being comfortable with the new technology. So you remove that. Once you have done through that stage number one, then you take the next application, the next, and maybe make a bigger jump around that. So
फरूख भाई, थैंक यू। मैं आपके पास वापस आता हूँ क्योंकि आपने क्लाउड एडॉप्शन की बात की। आई वुड स्पेसिफिकली लाइक टू टच बेस अपॉन के पाकिस्तान के क्या हालात हैं, क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं। जिस तरह आपने दराज की लोकल एग्जांपल दी और इंटरनेशनली जूम की दी, ये क्लाउड पे ना होते तो शायद स्केलेबिलिटी इनके लिए चैलेंज हो जाता और ये सर्विस कंटिन्यू करना एडवाइजर एंड नॉट टच बेस।
yeah,
जहां पे इफ यू आल्सो मतलब बड़ा बेसिक्स का क्वेश्चन है, बट बिफोर वी मूव ऑन फर्दर, और तो अगर थोड़ा सा पब्लिक प्राइवेट हाइब्रिड क्लाउड्स के बारे में थोड़ा सा एक इन जनरल पर्सपेक्टिव दे दें, बिकॉज वी आर here with the audience जिनको थोड़ा सा perhaps this perspective would add some good parameters.
So public cloud is like the big players in the market. I would say Microsoft, Amazon, or Google, or similar those cloud providers. They are providing the full scale of services, not only allowing you to host a virtual machine, they're also allowing you to host. There are three types of, I would say, workload you migrate to a public cloud. One is called software as service, which means that you may be just using their Office 365 email service or Google Mails, in which case they manage everything. You don't even see where your email, which server is hosted. You don't have to remember that. You don't have to know that. You just know the region where that particular public provider is hosting it. So it's in terms of priority, you always look for software service, because the total cost of ownership will be the lowest point, and that in this case compared to any other way of working, and it's sometimes quite cheaper than you try to build it. So if you try, let's suppose I was giving example of Exchange server on-prem, I wouldn't suggest you to start building Exchange in the cloud. There's no benefit for that. You still need to manage everything. So what you do, you look for a mail client providers. It could be Microsoft, Google, or any of their mail client providers. So that's the first area, which is a software as a service. The next area you look for is a platform as a service, which means that you would like a public cloud provider to manage the anything below operating system. So you don't want to manage a virtual machine. You don't want to apply patches. You don't want to worry about the security. So you would like to be only managing your applications. You have a source code you deploy. Let's suppose if I'm building another Raza application, the best strategy for me to look into platform as a service, whereby whether you go to AWS or Microsoft or Google, You host your website on their platform. It gives you the agility. For example, you can scale out to 10 virtual machines or 20 virtual machines. Anything is happening behind the scene. You don't have to worry about the patching, all those kind of things. That's, I would say, is a platform as a service available. Third one is infrastructure as a service, where you manage your applications yourself. It's just you have moved your virtual machine from your on-prem location to the cloud. But then you have to do everything. You have to do the patching, you have to do security, you have to do all of those things. In some cases, they make sense. For example, if you're hosting your ERP, you would like to have full control ownership. In that case, you do it.
Yeah.
But why infrastructure as a service in the cloud is because you're looking for still agility, security, connectivity, and integration with other applications a lot easier with your ERP. So back to the question around private, hybrid, and public cloud. So within public cloud, you have three options to look for. Hybrid cloud is when you would like to keep some of the workload on-prem, but you still would like to have a flavor in the cloud, public cloud. Why you look for? It could be regulatory reasons. For example, you can't host your data outside in Europe. We call it you can't host data outside Europe. There are GDPR concerns. We can, but there are additional legal things that you have to go through. So you look into, is there anything I have which I can't move to the cloud? One reason could be regulatory. Another reason could be it is just really outdated, 20 years old technology that you can't move. So what you do, you have to live with that technology for another 2, 3 years until it is retired. So in that case, you look for hybrid approach whereby you sync your identity, your Active Directory user and password to the cloud. That's very important. Once the identity is migrated or synced to the cloud, then it gives you another avenue to integrate with other applications, another cloud-based application. You may be using a CRM from Salesforce. You will be able to integrate it easily. So hybrid mode normally is also being used. For example, you have 100 servers on-prem. You can't just lift and shift 100 servers in one go. You need the whole strategy. What you look for applications which are easy to migrate, which are like lift and shift mode, whereby you say, okay, I have virtual machines running, it's costing me $100. Why not just move it to cloud? It gives me better agility and all those kind of things. You look into migrating servers in phases based on application and trying to consolidate those applications as well. So if I'm running 20 Oracle machines or 20 SQL Server machines, there is no benefit in me lifting and shifting 20 machines in the cloud. What I'm going to look for is consolidation. Do I really need 20 SQL Server machine? Can I run it on 5 SQL Server machine or 2 SQL Server machine? Do I really need a virtual machine for SQL Server? Should I look for platform as service? Because databases are available as a platform as service. So you do this
Yes.
in phases, not like that's why it's very important to have a strategy and look for how you plan accordingly. Look for costing. So if 10 virtual machines is costing something, then you look for, if you host this in the cloud. Within the cloud, then you look for how can I reduce the cost? Should I run it on only on one machine? And then if there is a burst of traffic, I scale out to two or three and then bring it back. That could be one of the thing as well. But there could be other areas as well where you look for um, an approach how you can migrate your applications. The third area is private cloud, whereby what you do, rather than managing in your office, you have a comms room, you just move it to a private cloud provider, and then they will manage it for you. It's better than you keep everything in your office or in your factory. Why? Your office or factory is not designed to be a data center. Why? You need to look for fire suppression, you need to look for power shutdown, all those things. You have to have UPS and generator, all those things. You have to worry about those things. And also you need to make sure how do you manage your disaster recovery. So in that case, it's at least I would say the it's better than if you are keeping your stuff on-prem, you should look into at least to move into a private cloud provider.
Yeah.
Um, you may make some savings as well from managing everything, but the way when you look for saving, it's not okay how much I'm paying in capex for my servers. You need to look for electricity costs, you need to look for security, physical security, you need to look for fire suppression, all those kind of things that you need to manage. So you are still reducing your cost of ownership, but the drawback in that approach is you don't get the agility. You can't just say tomorrow I need 20 servers. You have to still go back to the vendor and say, okay, I'm looking for those servers. You won't get it. So that's why you look for uh, public cloud and hybrid. They work side by side. The example I've seen where companies are only looking for public cloud is those who are born in the cloud at any level. So you look for those companies or startups Why should they host and manage a virtual machine? Let someone else manage it. But if you are thinking about a
Yeah.
well-established company global, then you look into how you can start migrating your workload in the cloud. Look for the benefits. Benefits may not be always around cost cutting. It could be the agility you're getting it. Another area I've seen is very important from a cloud provider perspective is a disaster recovery side. So if you have everything hosted on-prem and you need to look for the disaster recovery side, you are managing another site for no reason. But what you could do, you just sync all of your data and your virtual machine, use cloud, public cloud as your disaster recovery site for business continuity. So if you scale out on your on-prem, it's very easy to scale out in the cloud. And then what you could do, use it this strategy to start migrating workload as well. So let's suppose you are syncing 100 virtual machines to the cloud as a DR site. What you could do, you could start moving some of those workload which are already migrated to the cloud and make them active from the cloud. So this is also very useful strategy where you can migrate servers, virtual machines in phases. You're not in a hurry. So first you get rid of your DR site, could be private cloud, and then you look for, okay, how can I start migrating these virtual machines? And then start using software as service and platform as service directly in the cloud and integrate with your infrastructure as well. So that's the benefit where you are going to start seeing it.
I see. Good. Furrukh bhai, would you like to add up anything on this? And before we move on to the next question, next thing, which was cloud adoption.
देखिए,
So, cloud adoption के ऊपर
biggest thing is you have to find what your business case is, right? That's the step one of your cloud adoption strategy. Once you have that in your mind, especially for example, and then you have to find your step one. So these two you should try and define find a partner and try and define that with a partner that will help you through this. That would I would that is the one of the major suggestions that I have, and then now we can move to the questions I think right now. So one of one,
जी क्वेश्चन बस यही मैं उस पे क्लाउड अडॉप्शन पे आते कि हम इन पाकिस्तान के कोर हमारे पर्सपेक्टिव से वेयर डू यू सी मतलब हमारे पास काफी शिफ्ट आया है काफी बेहतरी आई है आई वुड से बेहतरी से मुराद चेंज आ गया है कि मतलब फॉर इंस्टेंस ईमेल्स की हम बात करें तो यस मोस्ट ऑफ द कंपनीज एंड द लोकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस इवन आर क्लाउड ऑलरेडी rest of it's not even hybrid हमारे पास जो local service providers है वहाँ पे भी it's a sort of like you get it's not exactly what you get in a cloud तो उसके ऊपर थोड़ा सा बताएं उन challenges को how we covered those challenges and how we
okay,
addressed
but,
those
but
gaps.
but what has happened with all these major cloud delivery companies like Amazon or Google or with Microsoft is they have invested a lot in improving what they were doing like about 7, 8 years, 9 years back. That has not happened with unfortunately with the local cloud providers, which are just providing you a virtualized environment sitting over a piece of hardware. And the other challenge within that is there's only one tier 3 data center in Pakistan. So there's a concern around how much investment have they made around that infrastructure itself as well. Which I'm sure these guys have invested a lot more than this, and make sure that you have all the type of different type of availabilities available. I mean, they're spread across different regions and different locations versus local local provider with a virtualized environment sitting in one place only. So there are lots of questions that create that difference. And B, the world is now shifting towards managed services. Total cost of ownership का
Yeah.
मसला है. You have your people sitting all the time trying to manage and run your applications. Nobody wants to do that right now. दुनिया में सबसे बड़ी जो ड्राइव है वो कैपिटल एक्सपेंस के स्पेंड करने के ऊपर है. Capital expenditure for the CFO is a no-no. You don't want to invest 20 million, 30 million, $40 million and trying to create a data center for yourself, or going towards a virtualized environment that is not as secure as some of these top of the line cloud providers. So that would be I think the biggest challenge that our guys would face. in deciding is there a restriction that because we don't have all these big cloud providers with data centers in Pakistan right now. So if there are restrictions around moving the data or not moving the data and in different sectors of industry, they would be challenged with that restriction. But then there are companies and there are organizations that are not restricted by this. And then within these companies as well, there are applications that do not have the type of data that you need to move to, that you're restricted to move to cloud, right? And for those companies, there are going to be hundreds of other applications and information and data that does not come under the control of those restrictions. PIIs जैसे हैं, आप you cannot move that. हमारी जो टेलीकॉम इंडस्ट्री है, हमारी जो फाइनेंशियल इंडस्ट्री है, इसके ऊपर कुछ restrictions हैं around that. So they can identify
Banking side पे
and create stop worrying about this part which has restriction and look at the other possibilities. जो तीसरी चीज है क्लाउड अडॉप्शन के अंदर वो है एनालिटिक्स द टाइप ऑफ एनालिटिक्स एंड द टाइप ऑफ डेटा दैट यू आर कलेक्टिंग राइट नाउ एंड नॉट पुटिंग टू यूज एक तो वो रिस्ट्रिक्शंस हैं दैट यू अराउंड स्केलेबिलिटी एंड अवेलेबिलिटी एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट एंड रिलायबिलिटी फैक्टर्स एंड सिक्योरिटी एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट जो कि जर्नी की स्टार्ट करने में आपको विल बी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दूसरा जो पार्ट है वो ये है कि इन सारी चीज़ों के साथ साथ analytics के लिए the type of compute and the type of storage that you nowadays need and then you can utilize. You cannot even go thinking about machine learning and AI without lots of data being collected first of all as an example. So you want to go there and within that during that journey, what you need to think about is do I invest a lot in making all of that possible on-prem right now, or I do take back all of the data over to cloud, where I first of all ingest that data, collect the data, and then I do the analytics and do uh, create an EMR solution out of that, and compute based on how I'm analyzing it that for a short period of time. So there are things that you cannot do sitting on-prem. Yes, there are solutions of on-prem data lakes and all of that as well, but they're still restricted. उनके ऊपर अभी भी
So
आगे
apparently there's a room where we as an organization on the whole we need to support our local players and providers in the journey for them to while they are willing to invest. So we have to stand with them and we have to give them a chance and some time as well. So is this how you look at it? Is this what you say? What you saying? हमें उनको
और
भी वक्त देना पड़ेगा अभी मतलब
देखिए अडॉप्शन किसी किस्म की भी अडॉप्शन है वो टाइम लेती है, right? But that adoption has to start from somewhere. ठीक है. And the Pakistani
so
companies
there's always a first step, yeah.
already starting doing that. There are already lots of requests, information and questions जो कि ये drive कर रहा है. और ये I think the technology leadership of companies in Pakistan will actually need to figure out a way uh, कि जैसे अदनान साहब ने कहा कि our organization said cloud first. So whatever new I am doing right now has to be on the cloud first of all. Could that be the easiest path to adoption? Okay, I need something new in my organization. बहुत सारे retail stores हैं आजकल which are adopting, for example, lots of cloud solutions. Immediately, I mean, there's stores popping up every day, right? And there are solutions. There's stores popping up on Facebook nowadays. Think of a situation that workload on the Facebook has increased by quadrupled. Netflix has quadrupled over time, and they cannot handle that. All of those are adopting, right? And I think that's what the journey is. You start from step number one and go to step number two first of all. Um, but another comment is adoption will take time, but we cannot run away from that.
Yes,
That's
you cannot escape. Yeah.
You cannot escape.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Adnan bhai, एक question भी इन्हीं साहब की तरफ से आया हुआ है. इनका question rather I'll put it on the screen now. देखिए, and it looks like quite a relevant question. और आपसे भी फरूख भाई मैं इस पे point लूंगा थोड़ा सा कि इन्होंने कहा कि what are the recommendations for disposal on cloud after end of contract or service with cloud service provider? So, with your experience, if you can quickly touch base on this.
Yeah, I think one of the main reason to look into the public cloud is the data is dirt cheap. The data storage is dirt cheap in the cloud. You can't even compete on-prem. So when you look for data backup, replication, all those things are very cheap, irrespective of the public cloud provider. That's one of the things is always very cheap. The most expensive thing in the cloud is always compute power. The power you need behind the virtual machine, whether it's 4-core machine, 8-core machine, that's expensive. But the way you look for the data disposal and also bring the data back, you just need to make sure you have the full control on the data. But when you're keeping the data, you're using EC2 or you're using Azure storage account. You still have full control on the data. So you don't have to be vendor locked in that you are hosting data on Microsoft Cloud or Amazon Cloud. You can switch the data to any other location. If you're worried about the data disposal, you can also have a copy of the data to another cloud as well. And also, there is another way to look into that as well. Like, let's suppose, I'm not sure in Pakistan, it's very common, whereby data is stored on network share. So you're keeping terabyte of data on network share. So when you're looking for migration of data, what you could do is to look into cloud as your failover strategy, where you keep the data synced to the cloud. So something happens in your on-prem, you can switch into. So with respect to data disposal, I don't see this as an issue. You have full control on data. You own data. You are technically leasing the hardware, but not the data. You own it. You can bring the data back to any other provider as well. And it depends on which mode you go for, pay-as-you-go model, or you're looking for monthly subscription. But at the end of the day, as a customer, you own the data. So I don't really see any problem with data disposal on the cloud. I would say it's even a lot easier in the cloud than on-prem, because then you think about it. Let's suppose you're taking the backup of your virtual machines and data on-prem. What you do, you take the backup, keep it for maybe NSAN for a week or so, and then you copy to a tape drive. Tape drive is on the offsite location. Think about it. If you need to recover that data, it could take 2 to 3 days. Bring that tape, recover that tape drive to terabyte of data, and then find where the data is. Whereas if you look for, I'm more familiar with Microsoft Azure side. So in Azure, you can, when you replicate the data or keep the data, you have a copy of data, and you can also revert back to the data, the changes you have made. And it's dirt cheap as compared to on-prem storage if you're looking for SAN storage and then tape drive. So the agility as well, if business coming back to you and saying, okay, I would like to recover data which I've deleted a week ago, a month ago, or a year ago, it's way easier for you to recover the data in the cloud than on-prem, because then you have to go back tape drive, recover it to a SAN, and then recover the data. So I don't think so. We as customer need to be worried about data disposal in the cloud. It's more secure in the cloud than on-prem.
Yes, Anand. Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. Anand, your connection actually dropped in the middle like that.
I can hear you.
I can hear both of you fine.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so we are just at last 10 minutes. So otherwise, I wanted to also touch base upon फरूख भाई से पूछना चाहता था कि हम इतनी सारी क्लाउड की या मैनेजमेंट की बात करें तो क्या पाकिस्तान में, और आप पाकिस्तान में रहते हैं, पाकिस्तान से बाहर दूसरे देखते हैं, तो I all definitely want to touch base upon क्या हम वो उसके लिए वो यूटिलिटीज भी यूज करें, सॉकेट्स के आसान बना रहे हैं सिंगल कंसोल से. तो that was one another perspective, and obviously कि हमारे पास locally क्या resources available है सर, कितनी skilled resources available है क्लाउड मैनेजमेंट के लिए या क्लाउड की नॉलेज के लिए, उसके लिए हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा, what are the certifications understanding that we need to have.
Right. So you will have to repeat the question because you're breaking up a lot for me. Can you repeat your question?
Okay, I'll repeat. मैं सही कहता कि I just quickly wanted to touch base upon कि हम how ready are we in terms of the resource readiness. हमारे पास क्या हमें वो technologies as I said कि उसको क्लाउड को मैनेज करने के लिए कॉम्प्लेक्स एनवायरनमेंट्स को डेवलपमेंट साइड पे अगर हम उसकी बात करें मैनेज करने के लिए ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में तो आई अंडरस्टैंड आप लोगों ने बड़ी बात की डेवलपमेंट साइड पे फिर वो क्यूबिलिटीज डॉकर्स कंटेनर्स वो वाली चीजें आ जाती हैं और उसकी एफिशिएंट मैनेजमेंट्स आ जाती हैं उस साइड पे रिसोर्स साइड पे या इवन अदरवाइज जो क्लाउड सर्टिफाइड रिसोर्सेज होती हैं हाउ गुड आर वी एंड वेयर डू वी स्टैंड एंड व्हाट इज द वे
देखिए
आपको क्या लगता है
इसमें
हमें कहाँ पे ज्यादा
I think, for example, a lot of companies started their cloud services journey because we work with mostly with offshore market 8 years back. So there, number one, there's a lot of expertise present in Pakistan, unfortunately, to handle lots of requests around partnering on cloud adoption and cloud adoption strategy. So that's not going to. The second biggest challenge is going to be your own teams as well. So their message to actually enhance the knowledge of your in-house teams so that they can learn about tool technology skills related to your organization adopting cloud. Or उसमें nowadays sitting at home, there's lots of courses available that you can utilize from Udemy and Cloud Academy and Linux Academy and all that. And it's very, very nice lectures that take you through exercises and all of that. So why not use them? Why not adopt them? Why not start to experiment with them? Why not a number one allocate some funds for your team members to go start going through those trainings and then giving them to experiment with one or two applications. So these are the lots of things that you can do to start with adopting. The second is there are now platforms which are making the adoption more easier for you. Right? For example, you have VMware. VMware and AWS and
yeah
partnership, pick your all your applications, put virtualize it, move that to AWS, start adopting and moving and utilizing your applications and then try to shift towards what I say managed services more, benefit more. But adoption easy होगी right the first step of adoption becomes easy इसी तरीके से you have OpenShift available so if you are like a Linux intensive organization and you have resources present which are very familiar with OpenShift so now and you're managing your for example the local infrastructure using OpenShift you can use the same to manage your cloud infrastructure as well so as more and more companies are adopting cloud, these organizations are adopting method to allow you to start your journey very easily on cloud as well. So you have experts available, and that is very limited, obviously numbers right now. But then you have other paths to take as well to start that journey, and these are the things that you can even start and tell you this. Even before you go to cloud, you can start to utilize these things to get what I call is getting ready for the cloud. My organization is getting ready for the cloud. What are the first two things I need to do? I would say look at these two, three options in doing that. Look at containerizing your existing application on-prem before you,
yes
and OpenShift and try to think about that. So that when you move to the cloud, there won't be almost anything new for your team. They have learned a lot and they have adapted a lot. So that is how you can start it. So there are optional paths available. Skill enhancement is always a challenge. This is the most desired skill even worldwide, not only in Pakistan right now. So create an environment of your energy within the organization create an environment of where you spending and investing in their growth allow them to go and learn about AWS, for example, technology tools, and take a path towards, for example, a specialization towards data lake or a specialization towards desktop, the DevOps, and allow them to appear in the certifications. And that should be part of your cloud adoption strategy. And within no time, you will have enough people available from within Pakistan. Just like we have people available for Java. Do you guys even remember when the first time over Java was launched in the market and there were like only four people that knew about that? So from that to now,
Good point, Resham.
have you
We
not
should have this.
these technologies? I mean, we have pivoted from Visual Basics to Visual C++ to Java to Oracle Forms to I don't know what not to now all of these new things, and we only forget about the things that we had done to make that adoption possible. The same things have to be done for making this adoption possible as well. It's not difficult at all. Absolutely not difficult. Not more than month and a half to two of prep and reading and exercises. Not more than that. I'm not talking about super experts as
Good point.
architects because you will get by
Absolutely.
being on the projects and by working for it and by making mistakes, you learn through that process. But to start off your journey,
And
that's
again,
not.
if we are building sufficient as part of adoption plan, we should keep this resource upgrade and upskilling part as part of the plan as well, which would help us run the journey and live the journey in a better
Yeah,
way.
absolutely.
तो हमारी process भी बेहतर हो जाएंगी and obviously learning process भी हमारा थोड़ा speed हो जाएगा. Just last 5 minutes, rather 4 minutes. तो नाम साहब just round up. पॉजिटिव मैसेज टू हमने इंडस्ट्री के लिए बड़ी बात की तो a message for those who have just started their careers and they are into infrastructure and cloud services और उनके लिए बहुत सारी चीजें आ गई ही नहीं तो उसके लिए just a quick message for all of us.
I think it's a lot easier these days than when I graduated to gain knowledge and resources, like Furrukh has mentioned around Udemy and all those sources. These sources are dirt cheap. You can get the whole course at $5, $10. Sometimes there are a lot of courses are free as well. So it's a lot easier these days to get yourself embrace upon the cloud technology or any other technology. And there are a lot of resources available to do that. So I would say even for college graduates to look into cloud technology as one of the things that they have to do in their Bachelor of Science course. But there are other things which are also linked within cloud. For example, artificial intelligence, robotics is another one. Internet of Things is getting momentum. So look into those things in terms of getting yourself ready. You have to make sure that you understand the basic concept of on-prem as well when you're looking to cloud. A system admin is a system admin. If I know how to build a virtual machine, it's just maybe a little bit different how to build a virtual machine in the cloud, but it's exactly the same thing. You still need to know the concept. There will be some titles which may not exist in next 2 3 years or 5 years time. For example, there will be companies moving their exchange or email data to moving into software service.
Yeah.
So there won't be a requirement for exchange admin as an example. The CxO or DBAs, they have to adopt the technology because then they will be looking into how they can start building a database into platform as service mode, whether it's Microsoft or an AWS side. They have to build those expertise. So existing skill set for system admins and those who are working, they also have to understand how they can bring those resources and learnings that they have done on-prem into the cloud. And that's not really very difficult. So in the college, if you are in the college, you need to look for the things that you have to do from the cloud side. It's a lot easier. Look for Udemy courses. And some of those things in the cloud, I think, in my opinion, don't be worried about, okay, you only understand from Microsoft perspective, AWS perspective. The concept is exactly the same. It's just they may be calling it differently. So you don't have to be worried about, okay, I just understand Microsoft, I don't understand AWS, or vice versa. So I think in the early career, you start looking for cloud technologies. There are a lot of resources available online. They are quite cheap, sometimes free. So look into those resources and start looking for certifications. Now, Microsoft, I think last week or the week before, announced that they are now looking into subsidizing certifications during COVID-19. So look for those benefits. Why not you start getting some certifications? Certification is not the only thing that will get you where you want to go. It's one of the two, but you need to make sure you get the work experience.
Yeah.
Another thing I would suggest for
Very good.
college graduates who are in the college third year, final year into degree to look into getting the internship with software houses to understand what's happening, what you read in the book in your university and what you do. These are different things. These are practicality. So here, for example, in Ireland, we receive interns when they are in the third year or year cycle. So they are working with us as an employee. They get trained, they understand how to work with these technologies, and then they go back, they complete their final year education, and then it's a lot easier for them to come back to the market because they understand how to work in the industry. They know how what technologies are being used. So they get. So I would say during the internship, look for companies in IT that they can give you the exposure that you need when you go back after graduation.
वेरी ट्रू सर, वेरी ट्रू अदनान साहब, बिल्कुल सही बात। और मेरे ख्याल से आई आल्सो लर्न फ्रॉम फरूक भाई वेरी मच एंड थैंक यू, दिस वाज अ गुड लर्निंग सेशन फॉर मी। फरूक भाई, आपकी तरफ से जस्ट लास्ट थिंग, अ गुड मैसेज।
Oh, I'll just repeat what Nan said. I mean, if you look hard enough, you will find lots of free resources. There are credits available. There are labs available. I was able to add a free course from LinkedIn. I mean, they were just throwing it out and add it to my Udemy account just the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, they are ample these days.
So they're ample these days, and like Adnan said that try and find that and trying to find subsidies around COVID situation, and free credits for cloud utilization. Most of them have free tiers available that you can play and experiment with. Uh, there's a lot of code, open source code available from for example AWS and GitHub. Try those applications out. So unlimited opportunities that we have out there if you want to start learning something new, you want to go to something new. As compared to my time, early in the days, there was no Google available to help me find these things. And you had to go look for books and search for books and all of that. Nowadays, the resources are unlimited. I mean, look at the course. If you cannot find it anywhere, try and find that on LinkedIn. You probably get that because they're adapting themselves to be training, resource development type of an provider, and with that initiative, they're throwing a lot of free stuff out. So there's no limit to what you can do nowadays if you look hard enough.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for a very, very valuable input during the session. And as rightly mentioned by one of our participants, we cannot escape from cloud. But yes, be it new normal, be it pre-COVID, be it post-COVID, or the way forward is
Yeah.
apparently uh, low cost, not again low cost nahi, but nothing less on prem and more on cloud, for all the good reasons we have discussed during the session. I would definitely try to sum up our discussion in a one pager and share over LinkedIn and Facebook as well. A very informative session. Thank you once again, both of you, and looking forward to have you guys once again to take this discussion further as and when we receive our feedback. Thank you once again. Thank you all the audience for the very, very engaging and interesting comments and your feedback. Thank you so
Thank
much. Allah
thank
Hafiz. Have a
thank
nice weekend.
you. It's great having
Thank you
you.
so much.
All of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.